Hi, it's Dr. John Norris, Key West, Florida, April 8th, 2020, about 11:25 in the morning. I promised I would explain better why I use the word waves and why I say you are crushing the curve. Not us, the medical team, you guys, you are protecting us, and I am grateful to you. And so is every other healthcare provider. If you look at this right now, this is describing not a wave, but it's a few curves. The red curve here is a measurement of the number of hospital beds needed on any given day. Notice May 11th, they were estimating that we would need 1,250 hospital beds in Monroe County. The dotted line is how many beds we were likely to have available, 118. Now, there's really close to 200 in Monroe County, but the problem is you still have appendixes, gallbladders that need to be taken out. You still have people getting sick from 100 different causes. You still have people delivering babies. All these things that are regular life still go on. So if we have 118 beds that can be devoted non-urgently to COVID, what are we going to do with 1,200 people? You're basically saying 11 people out of 12 don't have a place to be if they need to be in the hospital. We're talking about what's going on in New Jersey when I described my son's hospital, well, the hospital system, turning cafeterias into ICUs and wards. Can you believe that that could be, how is that going to be optimal care? It can't be. So when it comes down to it, the most important person, again, the hero here is you. Now, in this graph, it shows that that's the 11th of May. Then it shows two other graphs, and it tells you down here that the dark green is if we do loose controls, all right, like we originally started down here. It says only about 417 people will be needed, beds will be needed for people as of the middle of June. If we do strict controls, which is what our leaders are doing now, we only need like 98 beds. We have extra beds in case this model is slightly off. So if we do strict controls, we should be able to weather this storm. But if we don't do strict controls, we're going to be three people out of every four are going to be needing a bed in some hallway, cafeteria, some place that we're not used to putting people. And that's talking across the entire county. That's not talking just the Key West area, it's the entire county. So when we look at these curves, this one shows this is an April 2nd report. Look what they just did. They got rid of the red curve and they made these guys now change colors because they're more realistic. So as of today, we're not talking 1,250 people because you guys are crushing, you crush this curve. Now we're talking if we loosen up. Notice the 417, notice the date, middle of June. We don't have enough beds. We still gotta find beds. Notice they kept the same numbers like 98 beds if we keep tight. So as it stands right now, your leadership on the local, county, state, and federal government know curves like this. They may have other groups doing this. This is consistent with NIH data. We want them to see how they can balance us because I only look at the healthcare and I only care about you being alive and well. What happens is that doesn't mean that they don't care about the same thing, but they also worry about you having toilet paper. They also worry about you being able to feed your kids and so forth. So when we look at this curve, what I say to you is that you crushed one. We got to keep this other one crushed so that we don't have people in hallways or in cafeterias being converted. Now, the waves. When I originally started doing this, looking for these people, I'm finding flu after flu after flu. Showed you reports, didn't I? I posted them. Go back, look at the page. It actually shows you that swine flu was in town. Very bad flu, makes you really sick. A lot of people go, well, maybe you already had COVID. I doubt seriously any of you had COVID prior to the 15th of March. It literally is a 5-month-old disease that went from Wuhan, China, all the way across to us, and it took its time to do it. You crushed that first curve, second curve. So how do I know? Phone calls. I only got like a dozen phone calls every day. I ran all over the place. I went looking for the COVID in people's homes before it would get to the ER, before it even get to my front door. I found it. We had prelim positives. I got to see the disease before it got bad enough to get into the rooms, to get into the hospital. All right, so what ended up happening was that information was useful because leadership had proof it was here. And it wasn't just me doing it. The docs all over the Keys were doing their part. The nurses, the nurse practitioners, the clinics, everybody was doing their part to find this. All right, so we built our system flexible so that we could go ahead and do this. And we saw a little spike. Then it got quiet. I said to you guys, it got quiet. And then suddenly it picked up again. Instead of just a dozen calls, I'm getting dozens of messages on Facebook, on my phones. People are literally, I mean, it's got really, really busy and it got very challenging. Now it's tapered off again, almost like it was another wave. And if you think about it, there were people who didn't listen at first. They went out there and they still did everything. Oh, you look good. You want to know how many people have said to me who I found had COVID, that the other person looked good? Yeah, so what? The asymptomatic spreaders. So, okay, that explains the curve difference. It really is no difference. You crushed one, crushed number two. That also explains, and I'll take the phone now, that also explains the waves. That's Roma. She's kind enough, she coordinates my office. She's kind enough to go ahead and to videotape this, and she basically keeps me alive when it comes to this. Now I need your help for one more thing. Conch Republic declared war. The United States is in a state of emergency. So is everybody, every other level of government. My wife had a great idea. She put out the flags. I got an American flag from my office. That's a sad window. I need a conch flag. I've tried to find them, haven't found them. I need a conch flag. Anybody can help me, I'd appreciate you. So, all right. So, crush the curve, guys. We're on another curve. You understand now why I said what I said? Crush the curve, wear your mask, wash your hands. Remember, you guys are the heroes of healthcare. God bless.